It was just after midnight when the rain began to fall, tapping gently against the windows of Mercy General Hospital. Inside room 214, a young girl named Lily sat curled up in her bed, her small fingers clutching a threadbare teddy bear. She was only 11, but her eyes carried the weight of someone who had seen far too much pain for a lifetime. Her stepfather had been arrested hours earlier for what he had done to her, years of abuse hidden behind closed doors, and now, though the law had him in custody, she still trembled at every sound. She was afraid he would come back, afraid he'd find her again. The nurses had done what they could. The doctors had checked her wounds. The police had assured her she was safe. But fear doesn't listen to words. It listens to footsteps in the dark, to doors creaking open, to memories that won't leave when the lights go out. Out in the parking lot, the night was restless. Wind tore through the trees, sending branches scraping against the glass. And then, from far down the road, came a sound that no one expected to hear at this hour, a low, distant rumble that grew louder by the second. At first, the security guard thought it was thunder. Then he saw the headlights, dozens of them, piercing the darkness. Motorcycles. One after another. 97, to be exact. The engines roared like an approaching storm, their chrome gleaming under the hospital's floodlights. The bikers pulled into the lot in perfect formation, parking side by side, like soldiers standing guard. The guard blinked in disbelief. "What in the world?" he muttered, reaching for his radio. The leader, a broad-shouldered man with a gray beard and a leather vest that read Guardians of Grace MC, stepped forward. His name was Bear. He took off his helmet, rain dripping from the brim, and spoke calmly. "We're here for Lily." The guard frowned. "You can't just wait. How do you know about her?" Bear reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. "We got a call from one of your nurses. Said there's a little girl in there who's scared for her life. Said her stepfather might try something stupid. We're not here to cause trouble, sir. We're here to make sure she sleeps without fear tonight." The guard hesitated, torn between protocol and compassion. There was something about Bear's eyes, something steady and kind, like a man who'd seen enough darkness to understand what it means to stand in the light. After a moment, he nodded. "You can stay, but no noise, no chaos." Bear smiled. "You got it." Within minutes, the bikers spread out around the hospital. Some stood at the entrances, arms folded, eyes scanning the lot. Others sat quietly on their bikes, engines off, watching the rain. Not one of them said a word. It was as if the whole world had gone still, except for the soft patter of water on metal and the distant hum of life inside the building. Inside room 214, Lily peeked out the window. Her nurse, a kind woman named Maria, whispered, "They're here for you, sweetheart." "Who?" Lily asked, her voice barely a whisper. Maria smiled. "Some friends who want to make sure you're safe." Lily's eyes widened when she saw them, row after row of big, leather-clad bikers standing under the hospital lights. They looked like giants, like something out of a storybook. For the first time in days, she felt protected. As the night wore on, word spread through the hospital. Doctors, nurses, janitors, and even patients peeked through the windows, watching the silent vigil. No one had ever seen anything like it. Some of the bikers passed out coffee to the security staff. Others prayed quietly under the awning. Bear sat on the steps, staring at the rain, thinking about his own daughter, lost in an accident years before. He had joined the club to fill a hole in his heart, and tonight, standing guard for a girl he'd never met, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: purpose. Around 3 a.m., headlights appeared at the edge of the lot. A dark sedan pulled in slowly, stopping near the entrance. The bikers tensed. Bear stood up. A man got out, soaked and shivering. His eyes were wild, Lily's stepfather. He shouted, "She's my daughter. You can't keep her from me." Before the guards could react, Bear stepped forward, calm and steady. "Turn around, sir. You're not welcome here. She's mine," the man screamed, lunging forward. But before he could take another step, several bikers formed a wall between him and the door. Bear didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His presence alone was enough to freeze the man in place. "Not anymore," Bear said quietly. "You lost that right the moment you heard her." The police arrived minutes later, called by the hospital staff. They took the man away in handcuffs, cursing and shouting into the night. And when the sirens faded, the bikers stood silently once more. Inside, Lily was crying, not out of fear this time, but out of relief. She pressed her hand against the cold glass, watching as one of the bikers looked up and saw her. Bear lifted a hand, a simple wave that said everything words couldn't. She smiled for the first time in months. By morning, the rain had stopped. The sun broke through the clouds, painting the world gold. One by one, the bikers removed their jackets and draped them over the hospital benches, drying them in the light. Some went inside to donate blood. Others gave stuffed animals to the children's ward. When Lily woke again, her room was filled with small gifts, stickers, bracelets, little hand-painted stones that read "You're loved and stay strong." The staff was stunned. "Who are these people?" a young doctor asked, shaking his head in wonder. Bear overheard him and smiled. "We're just folks who believe no child should ever feel unprotected." Before leaving, Bear asked if he could see Lily. The nurse nodded. When he entered the room, Lily sat up shyly, her teddy bear in her lap. "Hi there," Bear said softly. "You're safe now, kiddo." Lily looked up at him, her eyes glistening. "You're really bikers?" He chuckled. "That's right." "You're not scary," she said. He smiled wider. "We're not supposed to be. We're supposed to be strong when someone else can't be." Lily hesitated, then held out her teddy bear. "His name's Mr. Buttons. You can have him for helping me." Bear knelt, his throat tightening. "No, sweetheart. You keep him. But I'll tell you what, we'll make you an honorary guardian of grace. That means you've got 97 bikers who'll always have your back." Her eyes lit up. "Really? Really?" He pulled a small leather patch from his vest pocket and handed it to her. It was tiny, stitched with silver thread, Guardian Angel. Years later, people still talked about that night. It made the local news, then national headlines. 97 bikers storm hospital to protect abused girl, the anchor said. What they did next shocked everyone. But what shocked people most wasn't the noise or the drama. It was the quiet, steadfast love of strangers who refused to look away. The Guardians of Grace became something bigger after that. They started visiting shelters, escorting children to court hearings, riding alongside victims who were too afraid to face their abusers alone. They raised money for foster families, helped rebuild homes, and stood watch in neighborhoods where fear once lived. And Lily, well, Lily grew up. She became a social worker, dedicating her life to helping other kids who'd been through the same kind of darkness. She never forgot that night. On her office wall hung the little patch Bear had given her, framed beside a photo of the 97 bikers lined up under the hospital lights. Every year, on the anniversary of that night, the Guardians rode back to the same hospital, not for fame or thanks, but to visit the children's wing. They'd bring toys, blankets, and smiles. And sometimes, late at night, Bear would stand by the parking lot, looking up at the same window where a scared little girl once waved to him through the glass. One year, when Bear grew too old to ride, Lily came to see him. She found him sitting on his porch, his bike gleaming beside him. "Hey, kiddo," he said, his voice gravelly but warm. You still carrying that patch? She nodded, pulling it from her bag. Every day. He smiled. Good. Then I guess we did something right. She sat beside him, and for a long moment, they just watched the sunset. You know, she said softly, that night changed everything for me. I used to think the world was full of bad people. But then I met you. Bear looked out toward the horizon. The world's got both, sweetheart. The trick is to be the kind that makes it better. He passed away a few months later, and at his funeral, hundreds of bikers came from across the country. Men and women with leather vests, tattoos, and tears in their eyes. Lily stood at the front, holding her framed patch. He taught me, she said, voice trembling, that family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who choose to stand with you when no one else will. When the service ended, the engines roared to life once more, echoing through the hills like thunder. 97 riders again, plus one more, Lily, now wearing her own vest. On the back was a new patch, Guardian of Grace. As they rode off together, the wind carrying their sound far and wide, people came out of their homes to watch. Some waved. Some wept. Because what happened that night years ago wasn't just about one girl, it was about all of us. About how strangers can become protectors, how kindness can rise from tragedy, and how love, in its purest form, needs no introduction. Sometimes, heroes don't wear capes. They wear leather and ride through the rain. And sometimes, the smallest act of courage, a phone call from a nurse, a group of bikers showing up in the night, a little girl daring to believe again, can remind the world that humanity, at its best, is fierce, gentle, and endlessly good. Long after the engines fade, the message remains. We all have the power to be someone's guardian. All it takes is the courage to care.